All right, guys, your homework tonight is this worksheet, homework 10. It does have a description in each section. It's factoring review. On the first section, 1 through 6, they just want you to find the GCF, the greatest common factor. So what you're going to do, most of classes got through all the odds, but I'll just go through a couple just to review. Like on here, number 4, you look for the GCF between the numbers. Okay, the greatest common factor of 75 and 120 is 50. And then you check your variables. So when I check, I have an x squared y, and then I have an xy. So to take out the smallest one would be here, xy. So my GCF is 15xy outside the parentheses. What remains is the division. So you're dividing each term by 15xy. 75 divided by 15 is 5. X squared divided by x is just x, and the y's cancel. So we just have 5x minus the xy's cancel here, and 120 divided by 15 is 8. So this is our final answer here. So you're doing GCF, just find the greatest common factor between the 3 terms and the variables. The smallest one comes out when dealing with letters. Here we did difference of squares. This is what we talked about today in class. If I have a subtraction and I know they're both perfect squares, then we write the factor as a plus b and a minus b. Order doesn't matter. So I could say a minus b, then a plus b, but they have to be 2 different signs. You want to check for a GCF first. Well, on here, I don't have a GCF because this has an a, that has a b. So now I'm just checking that, yes, I have a difference, I have a subtraction, and then I'm checking the square root. So this comes out to be a here. This becomes 5b. So one of my factors is a minus 5b, and then a plus 5b. To do 10, you do need to check for a GCF first. There is a common factor between 98x and 8x cubed, and that is 2x. So the 2x is outside the parentheses, leaving you with 49, because the x cancels here, minus 4x squared. And now you can take, we have subtraction, now you can do the difference of squares. So I want you to do the next step on that one. The basic trinomials this is when we use our X puzzle, and in the X puzzle, C is on top and B is on the bottom. So for example, you still want to check for a GCF, so I'll do 14 because that one has a GCF. Between the 3 terms, they have an X in common. So I would take out the X, divide, and this becomes x squared minus 8x plus 64. Now I'm doing my X puzzle. 64 goes on top, it's the C, the last term, and negative 8, that's the middle term, goes on the bottom. So I'm looking for factors of 64. Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up on that one. That should be 16, not 8. 16x. So minus 16. So our factors here would be negative 8 and negative 8. Sorry about that. So x stays outside. This would be x minus 8 and x minus 8. But since these are the same factors here, I could just simplify that as x minus 8 parentheses squared. I have 2 factors of the same binomial and keep the x in the front. If you get to this step, I'll give you credit, but the final step is x parentheses x minus 8 squared. So on the back here, we're still doing X puzzle. This does have a GCF, just giving you a heads up. Hopefully you see it's 4. Okay, and then you continue with your x puzzle after that. So when I keep the 4 on the outside, we have a squared plus a minus 20. And now I can make my puzzle with a negative 20 on top and a positive 1 here. So our factors here would be 5 and a negative 4. So just do the next step after that. Now 17 through 20 is your slide and multiply, because if I have a coefficient, I'm going to slide it and multiply it to the c. So in the x, it's a times c on the top. That's times, sorry. Let me fix this. Slide and multiply. So a times c is at the top of the x. B, the middle term, is still in the middle. So, for example, on 18, there's no GCF, but we have a coefficient 8. I'm going to do 8 times this negative 5, which is negative 40. So that's the top of my x. And then 6 is at the bottom. So I'm looking for factors of a negative 40 with the sum of 6. That would be a positive 10 and a negative 4. So I would have m plus 10. Oops, sorry. M plus 10 and m minus 4. But since we had the coefficient and we multiplied, we now, since I circled this 8 right here, have to divide by 8. So on our first one here, let's just make a note. This fraction can be reduced. This reduces to a whole number. So when I reduce the first one, this would be m plus 5 over 2. No, 5 over 4, excuse me. M plus 5 over 4. Divide everything by 2. And then this one is m minus 1/2. We can reduce this one as well. All right, so now we can do bottom up. So the bottom number comes up to the front. So our final answer is 4m plus 5 and 2m minus 1. All right, order doesn't matter, but we have to remember to divide, reduce, and bottom up. 20, you do have a GCF. Just a heads up, there is a GCF here. They all have 8 in common. All right, so once I do that, you're now having 2k squared minus 3k plus 1. And now you're going to have to slide and multiply. So you have to do the next steps here. See if you can finish that. And then the last is our grouping, which is what we were working on today. So we group the first 2 terms, last 2 terms, and find a GCF amongst both of them. All right. Hold on just a second. All right, let me finish this. Sorry, guys. So the GCF here is the a squared. So a squared is now going to be outside, leaving you with a minus 9b. And then if I look at this next term, the GCF here is b. So plus b is going to give me a minus 9b. So we have a common binomial right there. So that lets me know that's one of my factors, a minus 9b. And then the other set of factors, let me fix my font, is what's outside the parentheses. So this would be a squared plus b. And there's our final answer. All right, so hopefully this helps you finish this. This is due tomorrow. It is a separate grade.